COVID-19 has undoubtedly affected all of our lives. Everyone has had to deal with canceled plans, being quarantined, and other inconveniences that have changed our day-to-day experience. However, people around the world are all impacted differently by this pandemic, and many have felt the effects of the resulting health and economic crisis much more significantly than others. Let's take a look into how COVID-19 impacts the least developed countries in our world. The United Nations defines least developed countries, or LDCs, as low-income countries confronting severe structural impediments to sustainable development. The World Bank uses gross national income to classify countries, and those with a GNI less than $1,000 are considered to be low income. These countries often have poor infrastructure, widespread poverty, less access to clean drinking water and sanitation, high pollution levels, and more crucial problems. Developing countries have a GNI from $1,000 to $12,000 and have similar issues but to a lesser extent. These countries are in the process of growing their economy and often have the highest populations. The majority of least developed countries are in Africa, while developing countries are dispersed across the world, and developed countries mainly reside in North America and Europe. The lack of resources in low-income countries is a large obstacle when it comes to fighting the spread of COVID-19. With a lack of hygiene and cleanliness available, many cannot even wash their hands, let alone receive treatment. According to the UN, there are an average of 113 hospital beds per 100,000 people in these LDCs, which is 80% less than in developed countries. They also don't have the technology required to conduct testing or keep track of infected people. Most occupations in LDCs require their employees to leave their home for work, such as agricultural, mining, manufacturing, and service jobs, while developed countries have ICT jobs that allow people to work from home. LDCs also have far less access to the internet and the technologies that make our lives so convenient. The digital divide that is so prevalent in these countries also impacts the education that is crucial to the future of their children. While many kids in the US can engage in online school, students living in LDCs do not share that privilege. The lockdowns required by the government to minimize the spread of the virus will unfortunately leave many unemployed and make the access to food even harder. Industries that are integral to the economies of LDCs, such as manufacturing clothes and extracting natural resources, all had to shut down, leading to a weaker economy and increasing poverty. This pandemic is dangerous to low-income countries and will likely create setbacks in their development progress. However, although developed countries have much better infrastructure, they as well are struggling with this crisis. The United States has the most cases in the world, while other developed countries and nations such as Spain, Italy, and the United Kingdom are also in the top 10. It is important to recognize that although developed countries are more advanced overall, that doesn't mean all their citizens are safe from the impacts of the resulting economic crisis. In the US, many Americans have lost their jobs and health insurance because of the lockdown and are struggling to make ends meet. The COVID-19 impacts that affect LDCs are all present in the US as well. There are often not enough hospital beds and ventilators for the extreme number of infected citizens, and many don't live in conditions that make online school a possibility. Citizens of developed countries might view the pandemic as an inconvenience, but they must understand that others in their country and across the world are losing their jobs and lives because of it. It is very unfortunate that there are countries in this world that are in worse conditions and suffer more than others, and it is important that developed countries continue to make efforts to support them. However, in times when most countries are struggling with containing COVID-19, it is harder to offer that support. You can donate, raise awareness, and find other ways to help developing countries, but we must do the bare minimum to protect those in our own countries that are less fortunate than ourselves. Follow the rules and guidelines provided by our county and local government, practice social distancing, and always wear a mask in public. Remember, by preventing the spread of COVID-19, you can save lives.